let's talk about a blend mode that you're going to use the most likely inside of your Unreal projects, and that is the opaque blend mode. And when do we say opaque, what do we mean? Well, by opaque, what we mean is something that can't be seen through. So you can think about this table, this chair, this monitor, this cup. Those are materials that we are never going to make them translucent or transparent or have the ability to see through them. And there's a lot of benefits for doing it that way. It allows us to render things faster. If I take this sphere and I move it behind this object, we can see it's outlined, it's still there, but if I hit the escape key, now you could think because this material is opaque, we don't need to render or waste time figuring out what that sphere looks like. And so there's going to be a bunch of times where you can think of solid bricks, painted walls, plastic stuff, metal things, where we don't want any level of translucency. So in contrast, there'll be other times where we want to see through things like this cup or the edges of this plant. Let's just take a look at what that means for us in the material editor at a high level. So in the content drawer, I just pre-made a material here called m_opaque01. So feel free to make a material wherever you want. And by default, when this material opens, you can see that we already are on the opaque blend mode. So by default, anytime you make a material, it will be set to opaque. And what does that mean for us? Well, it comes with the limitation, as if you see here, that we have no opacity. So we have no way of making this mesh see-through, translucent, the ability to kind of see the background through this at any point without doing a bunch of weird hacky stuff. But what it does allow us to do is to have a relatively cheap way to render surfaces, let's say plastics or metals. It really doesn't matter as long as we can't see through that object. And it allows us to have good surface responses. Some of the other modes that allow us to see through things for the blend mode will remove some of the rendering features like specularity or roughness, so how light responds to it, because there is an additional cost to how translucencies work. So at a high level, I just wanted to kind of express that this blend mode exists, and I wanted to explain what it does and when we would use it. So hopefully you have a better understanding now of what opaque blend mode does for us in the material editor.